Alright, this is probably gonna be the third part of the video, unless I, like, mash it all together in 3 different sections, but another thing I don't like about religions, I had it a second ago, and now I can't think of it now, that's what I get for stopping the video, what was I gonna say, something about, alright, Adam and Eve, I don't like how religious people are so quick to attack you and say that, oh, that's not true. Okay, yeah, this is what I was talking about. That's what they were just raised to know. Adam and Eve, and God, and Jesus Christ, and the 3, whatever they're called, the 3 wealthy guys that came and, like, gave Jesus presents. But, alright. This is gonna be the time where little kids turn their attention elsewhere by, like, muting the video for the next, like, 30 seconds, I'm gonna say. Alright. So, I'm guessing we all now know that Santa isn't real, and, I mean, alright, where did Santa Claus come from? The Bible, right? So, why do we not believe in Santa Claus anymore, but do believe in Jesus Christ being resurrected from the dead, and God, and all this stuff? Because it's all just as silly as everything else. God being, Santa Claus being an almost eternal man that just gives presents to everybody and makes stuff that has a label on the box that says only made in Target. He makes toys for every single kid in the world and gives it to us. It just gives us presents for no apparent reason. And that's really silly now, isn't it? Now that you're grown up and we all know that Santa Claus doesn't exist, that's really silly, isn't it? So, this is actually in the Bible. I'm paraphrasing, but it says that I think it was the 3rd day Jesus Christ rose from the dead. He was resurrected from the dead. Does that not sound silly to say that, alright, Santa Claus is an eternal man that gives presents to everybody, but Jesus Christ getting risen from the dead, even though his body was probably already in the 2nd stage of decomposing? No, that's not silly or anything. That's completely normal. Or not normal, but, you know, that's alright, because it's Jesus Christ. It's normal. He can do that because he's Jesus Christ. But no, Santa Claus shouldn't exist, even though they're both in the Bible. So being eternal and being risen from the dead, those two things are so different that you're going to call one completely strange and, oh no, I only believed in that up till I was 10 or whatever. And the second one, no, I'm going to believe that, and I'm going to stick to my guns for the rest of my life. That's weird to say, isn't it? Because, alright, here's another thing. When you're a child, you kind of believe everything, right? Like, people say, and don't you dare fucking deny this. Don't deny this and be like, oh no, I didn't believe everything I said. You're lying. Alright, you were scared by scary movies, or by scary movie commercials. You would always freaking cover your eyes because of how creepy it was, with like the demons and everything, and possessions and stuff, and The Grudge. I remember when I first saw that movie trailer, I was like 8 or something. It freaked me the fuck out, dude. I couldn't sleep in my own room anymore. I literally had to sleep in the living room with my mom. I brought out a big blow-up mattress, and I slept on the couch, and my mom slept on the mattress because of how scared we were of that, or because of how scared I was of that movie commercial. It was like a 10-second commercial. It just freaked me the fuck out. And I won't forget it. It was scary. It's not scary anymore because I watched the movie and it sucked really badly. But at the time, it was extremely scary. And you believe everything, right? I had nightmares about it for like 3 days straight. I was scared shitless of it. Now I know it's just a movie and it isn't real and it never really happened. But when you're a child, you can be taught everything, anything and everything you can be taught, and believe it. Oh, there are monsters in your closet. Oh no, I'm scared of monsters. Be afraid of the dark. That's when the monsters come out. Oh god, I should sleep with a nightlight now because the darkness is where monsters come from. And, oh, if you believe hard enough, you can fly, or Superman is real, and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe in a parallel universe now, but, like, before, we all believed that Superman was real. We all believed that Spider-Man existed. Why? Because of how easily provoked we are, or not provoked, that's not the word I'm looking for, how easily, persuaded we are to all of these things. We're so easily persuaded that we will believe almost everything, except for maybe, hey, you can fly if you think about the word vagina or something like that. That's just the first word that came to my mind. But yeah, it's weird that we believed all those things, which is why I don't like the fact that we're taught religion, we're taught faith at such a young age. Of like, we're pretty much taught it since we're born, right? If you're raised into a family that believes in religion, which is pretty much like, I think it's 2% of people, that I saw it on a video on some guy's channel named Chris Tribert. I'm trying to work with him right now, or make videos with him, like podcasts or something. But I saw on his video, it was a video called Atheist Revolution, and it was about how I think it's now like 2.6% or 12.6% or something like that. I'm just gonna say 2.6 because that's what I think he said. It was like, he said 2.6 of Americans are now actually atheist. We've actually come out with atheism, which is a very, very small amount. Very small amount of people say that they're atheist, which is weird. Sorry, that noise that I made, I like tilted up with the camera. I was like, that's gross. Alright, back down. So that's weird. So, alright, that means pretty much 95.2% of people believe, 95.4% of people believe in God. That's pretty much what that means. So 94% of children are usually raised in a Catholic or Christian or Jewish family, right? So you're pretty much going to church or to temple or wherever you go in your religion. You're pretty much going there every Sunday or every Saturday or whenever you have church or whenever you go believe in your faith. Which for Islams, I think it's like every day, like 5 times a day. Which kind of sucks, but I guess whatever, they can believe in it, they can do what they want, no problem there. But it's so weird to think that, alright, I believe in it, oh yeah, I believed in it since I was a little kid. Want to know why they teach you it at such a young age? In my opinion, it's because of how easily persuaded you are. You are so easily persuaded into believing whatever people tell you that they can say God is real, like once, and then it's just stuck in your head forever. Okay, God is real. And then they pass that on to their children. Hey, God's real, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Santa Claus is real, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Tooth Fairy's real, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. They just say that for every single thing. And then, of course, for monsters and stuff, your parents are like, oh, monsters aren't real, get over that. But when you're so little, you're just, like, you're scared of them. You were legitimately frightened by them. I never really had that trouble, but I was scared really, really easily by scary movies. I think I passed that on to my cousin. My cousin's, like, absolutely horrified. I think he's scarred for life by a few things. He, like, woke up sweaty and shit one night because his friends talked him into going to see The Possession. And I guess it was a really bad movie, but he was scared shitless of it. He went to a really bad Halloween ride. Halloween thing. I shouldn't be talking about this. I'm sorry. Nobody knows who you are, don't worry about it. But yeah, he's scared really easily, and I mean, I was too. I guess I passed that on to him, which I'm sorry about that, but I was always really scared by, like, every single little thing, until I got into that, like, zombie stage, where I just loved zombie movies, which I was, like, 13 or something when I started doing that. Maybe I was 12, because I had a friend that really liked zombies, and I was like, oh, I should watch a zombie movie, and I really loved it. But yeah, up until you're like 9 or 10, you're just scared by everything. You're really, really easily persuaded into believing everything. Which is why I don't think they should teach you religion at such a young age, because of the fact that they can just say God is real and don't let anybody tell you otherwise, and you're just forced to believe that. Because of you're not technically forced, you have free will and everything, because God gave it to you, but technically you don't have free will. You believe everything. You're really gullible. So if someone's to say God is real, the Tooth Fairy's real, Santa Claus is real, fucking the moon landing was fake, you're gonna believe it. Sorry, the moon landing's not fake. That actually happened. There's evidence of that too. But if somebody's to tell you that, that's what you're gonna believe. And that can go for bad parenting. If parents say, oh, drugs are good, then you're going to be like, okay, and then go and, like, experiment with a bunch of drugs. If they say drugs are bad, you're going to be like, okay, and eventually you're going to end up experimenting with a bunch of drugs because you have friends that do that. I don't partake in those, but I have a shit ton of friends that do. I swear to God, like, I'm just going to name off random Now, I'm old enough, I guess, to know that it's wrong, but when you're so little, you can believe anything people say to you because they say it to you. So when you're taught God is real at such a young age, you just believe it, and that's what you end up believing for the rest of your life. But you don't believe Santa Claus is real up to you're 13. You don't believe that a tooth fairy's real when you're 13. And I wonder why. Like, alright, so Santa Claus is in the Bible. Or not Santa Claus himself. Well, look at my Mass Effect poster, it's so badass. But Santa Claus isn't in the Bible. St. Nicholas is in the Bible, which is essentially Santa Claus. They're the same person, just a different name, and they kind of follow different rules. But, alright, Santa Claus is so weird, but Jesus rising from the dead isn't weird, and a God that molded all of us to his standards isn't weird, and everything like that. So, I believe that they should teach you a religion not when you're really young, but when you're older. Like, they should have it be like maybe a mandatory high school class, like a senior high school class, or an optional college class, or something like that, because of the fact that when you're that old, you have you have your own thoughts. Like, you can say, okay, well, that sounds kind of silly, or though, oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than science. I think I'll believe in that instead of everything else that people have been telling me up to this point, and stuff like that. But when you're atheist, I mean, I guess that's what I am. I kind of go by agnostic now, because you can't be right or wrong about God existing or not existing, because you don't really know, because nobody will ever find out until they're dead, apparently. But it's weird that we're taught that at such a young age, and that we believe it. But when I'm going to assume when you're raised in an atheist or agnostic family, you're not really brought up, oh, God isn't real. God is not real. He is not real. Don't believe that he's real. If anybody tells you he's real, they're liars. Don't believe if they say he's real. I'm pretty sure atheists and agnostic families don't teach that to their kids. They probably just teach, I don't believe in God, we don't believe in faith. Believe in what you want, but we don't believe in God. That's what I believe that they're taught. I think that they have a much freer will to believe in whatever they want to believe in, which is kind of funny, because you're able to have free will from God's standard, but you have to believe in him, or else you'll get killed in Islam, which really does suck. I feel bad for people that don't believe in, or that are in an Islamic country but don't believe in Islam. That would really suck to be killed for not believing in a God. But I don't think that... I think that it should be, or it should have been from the beginning, just like, oh, well, or not really from the beginning, because then there would never be such a thing as religion. And honestly, faith drives humanity. That's really is what drives us. Have you noticed all the I'm kind of like waving to my TV. Have you noticed all the presidential campaign ads? There's nothing on my TV right now because I turned it off. But have you noticed how all of them from Romney's side anyway, not so much from Obama's side, but all of them from Romney's side are all saying, I said his name weird, are all saying, oh, well, God bless America, this is God's country, God's land, and stuff like that. So it's kind of being used as a tool to make you like one side or the other side. So I like tilt my camera. It's kind of funky. I like that, but I don't understand that. It's used as a tool to make people want to vote for somebody, or to want to eat something. Like if a bunch of priests got together and wanted to fuck with their society and be like, I just got a message from God and he loves McDonald's, and that was a McDonald's ad. Do you know how high the McDonald's prices would go, and how high their buyers would, their buyers wouldn't be high, but how high up their buyer's market would be? It would shoot up because of the fact that everybody in here is religious. Everybody in this country, 95.8% is what I think it was. That's a lot of people. That's less people than a lot of countries. Most of them are around 100%. But that is a lot of people that believe in God. The fact that we have, I think it's 300 million people that live in this country. 300 million people is a lot of people. Then minus whatever, 5, I'm going to round it off to 6%. That's, what, like 200 and... 298 million people. I don't know. I'm just counting. I'm not counting. I'm just guessing that it's that much. But that is a shit ton of people. That makes up a lot of the world's population. And I know for a fact that the world is 7.3 billion people, as I say that with uncertainty. That was kind of stupid of me to say, but yeah, it is. It's 7.3 billion people as a count of now. It is a lot of people. So that's, and there is a good 98% of that 7.3 billion people that do believe in God. And if McDonald's ads everywhere were to have a bunch of priests get on their advertisements and say God sent us a message saying that he loves McDonald's and that he wants everybody to be McDonald's, I'm sure the whole population of the world would be a complete fat asses within, I'm gonna say, 10 years. Like, yeah, that's legit. That's legit. But yeah, it is. It's true. Like, really, religion has such a big influence that even if we did want to teach religion as a class, as a mandatory class in later high school years, or as a optional class in early college years, that it wouldn't matter. Everybody would still believe in God. Maybe it would drop extremely, like, excruciatingly slowly as a percent of people that believed in God, but because of the fact that that's what all our parents were raised to know, if we were to just randomly do that now, all of our parents would say God is real no matter what your schools teach you, God is real. And it's just not correct. I mean, for me anyway, I don't believe that that's true. So this commentary has gone on for a really long time. I think I've been recording for like 40-50 minutes now, but I'm going to continue to, because this is a subject that I feel very strongly about. I feel very passionately about how we should improve, not really our country, but how we should improve the world as a fact of believing in religion and stuff. Bill Nye, he talked about religion and how we shouldn't be taught it at such a young age, and I really do second that motion because of the fact that we're so damn gullible when we're little kids that we're going to believe whatever people say to us, even if it's as silly as monsters living in a closet, or if it's not as silly as a God being up there creating all of us and creating the world and creating the universe and everything that we see. Every single second we look at it, it's automatically made by God. That's not what many people may think of when they look at a chair, but in the back of your mind, if you're somewhat religious, in the back of your mind, you know, oh, that was made by God. You might not be thinking about it, but it is in your subconscious somewhere in there. So I really do think that we should stop teaching kids religion at such a young age and be able to give them the choice to believe in whatever they want at such a young age, and then throw it on them in high school and college and have like religious lecture classes about different religions, and you can take different classes. I think that would be amazing if you could do that. That would be so cool, because people would still be able to believe in whatever they want. It would just be a more free choice. There would be no you get killed automatically if you don't want to believe in this. Like, I guess that's what we would teach for Islam. It would be something to the effect of, okay, well, second off, if you do believe in Islam, and you're in a very highly populated Islamic country, or if the government is ran by an Islamic leader, you will most likely be killed or exterminated for not believing in the religion anymore. So choose your religion wisely, I guess. That would be a really, really cool thing that we could do, honestly. If we could get religion to shift from something you learn at such a young age to something that you're able to decide later in life. Kind of like, how Amish people do it. Besides the fact from raising them to know this from straight up for so long and then just randomly putting it out there. Because what Amish people do, so a lot of people know this, a lot of people don't, but what Amish people do is raise their kids to be Amish for their whole life, raise them without electricity for their whole life, and then I believe it's when they're like 21 or when they're 18, they just send them out into society with drugs and parties and drinks, and they can do whatever they want. They can smoke however much reefer they possibly can in one night, and I think it's for like a week. They go out, they experience life with technology, life with lights, life with Xboxes and PlayStations, not in that particular order because I don't want to be biased between any consoles, even though I'm an Xbox guy. But it should be kind of like that, except for the fact that it's not to decide what you want to be, but you should be Christian, because if you are Christian, then you'll go to heaven, which is stupid. And another thing, don't question God, don't question his authority. Why not? Questions get us everywhere. Questions got us gravity, or questions got us the knowledge of what gravity is. Questions got us to the moon. God damn it, we need to ask questions. We always need to ask questions. No matter what, we always need to ask questions. What's the sun? We used to think that it was a demon, or, no, we thought that when the moon would solar eclipse, when the moon would hover over the sun, it would block it out for a day. I think that happens like every 5 years. Vikings, such a beefy, strong type of pridey nation, would yell at the moon, thinking that it was a demon swallowing the sun, and then releasing it after they just screamed at it for like an hour. Like, that's actually what they would do. I saw that on a science channel like a week ago. Every time a solar eclipse happened, they would yell at the moon, ah, and just yell at it and tell it to get out of the sun or to throw the sun up or whatever. And then eventually, it would pass. But this was because of gravity. They didn't know that back then, though. They just thought that it would eat it and then just kind of poop it out later. But in reality, it's just the moon kind of going over the sun. They thought that it was a demon eating the sun. They also thought that all the planets were gods, and now we know that they're not gods. Now we know that they're actual planets, they're actual things, and they're not people, and they're not righteous beings, they're objects. They're objects in space held together by gravity and sometimes a core if they're a rocky planet like Earth. We're held together by a molten core. But this is becoming too much of a science lecture now. But, alright, and my point is that if we don't ask questions, we're not going to get anywhere. If we didn't ask, oh, what is the god Venus, we would never find out that it was actually a planet. We would have just thought for our entire lives that Venus was a god. And that sounds silly now. Okay, why would people think that planets were gods? Why do you think that God is a god? Why do you think that God is real? It's just as silly as saying Venus is a god, or that Mars was a god, or that Jupiter was a god. It's just as silly as saying that, or that the sun and the moon were gods. It's honestly silly. I just stuttered like a shit ton there, but it really is. It is honestly silly that we think that gods exist, in my opinion. But when you think about that, all the objects that orbit the sun, we also used to think that everything orbited us, which I guess I could understand if we didn't have technology, why we would think that, but it doesn't. We know that now. We know that it doesn't. But before, we used to think that it did, just like we used to think that all the planets were gods, and we had no explanation for it, so that's why we thought that. So, back to me saying we shouldn't teach our children at such a young age what religion is. We shouldn't teach them about being atheist either. We should just not bring it up at all, or maybe to a very, very minuscule amount, until they're a good age of 15 or 16, and they're starting to develop their frontal lobe, and they're able to make harder decisions by themselves, as opposed to just throwing it on them when they barely have any type of a brain structure, when they're such a young age, and just kind of deep-throating them with it and making them believe it. So, this has been The Real Knob, I guess. This is my lecture on religion / science / evolution, and I guess I'll see you guys later. And as always, as I most likely will be doing for a long time, signature farting noise at the end of every video initiated. I didn't finish it.